I wanted to discuss. I am as an electrical engineer by my first degree, my first education. I cannot see this stuff. I mean, people here, they're pretty much used to seeing like this. But those electrical cables, see, they're already sagging. And that happened because of the typhoon. The umbrella actually tipped down and touched the wires, the cables. Of course, in many countries, that one also see that's kind of rope tied and hanging down. I would be like proposing the government of Philippines seriously consider to put that cables underground, because the country is engulfed by very frequent typhoons, and that makes this construction particularly vulnerable to electric supply. That's what I think. I don't know how things revolving here, especially at the times of the typhoons. We need to ask locals, but that would be actually the first priority. And this is not some remote provincial town. It's actually an Angeles city. So here I am. I don't wear any external Bluetooth, so maybe not very audible, but I stand on the line with my papers. I gotta get visa extension for another 29 days. It's actually worth for those folks who want to make an extension to come not early in the morning, because there's a lot of, it will be much many more people in the line. It's better to come in the daylight. So it's almost nowhere behind. I must tell that this is really first time in my life when I enjoyed the whole process of getting involved with immigration. Free of hassle, very, well, it's not particularly friendly, but no gimmicks, no strange questions, because like in Europe or especially in the States, the immigration officer is supposed to ask something. It's his duty to just ask you something, even if there is no any particular questions. He still needs to ask. Here, no questions. Just very quickly, I was in the line for like 5 minutes. Then I was called in the window. I submitted my documents. I paid 3,030 pesos, and the officer gave me this and asked me to wait for 2 hours. So I am in the shopping mall. It's very convenient that immigration has their offices here. So we call it to kill two birds with one shot. I can walk around, I can see the mall, I can just look around. Maybe I'll go to a Globe office to find out what's happening with my Gcash account. But at the end of the day, I'll come and I pick up my visa extension. Last topic. Someone accused me that I pick too many topics in one video and I should split them over. But you know, guys, I'm just recording whatever I feel like, because I'm afraid to lose my idea, the momentum of what I'm willing to discuss. And this very subtle issue, I didn't want to raise it at all. And actually, I was reluctant even to mention that. I'd like to talk about ladyboys, about transgenders. I know that's kind of commonplace, not only in Philippines, but also, for example, in Thailand, I know. And I don't want to question a person's right to change his or her gender, because it lies in the context of personal freedoms, of disposition of every person of his right to dispose of his or her life the way he wants to. But the problem is that most people at that age, when they make these transgender operations, they are in illusions. They are too young to be able to adequately comprehend and assess complexities of the life which will be ahead of them. So I know that most of these people, I heard, I don't know of course, but from psychologists, I know there is amount of suicide is overwhelming among those people, because as they age, they realize they cannot start families, they cannot have kids, and that basically brings them to the level of mortal thoughts, and eventually to some of them, as I said, they end up in suicide. So the doctors who are willingly performing this kind of operations, it's my personal opinion, every country has its own rules. They should be held responsible for negligence, for not willing to divert the operation. They are basically acting in their own commercial interests, and some of them, as the doctors, they bring a Hippocrates oath, so they should be acting in a person's best interest. Another issue, I didn't happen to meet any one of them, but I see them in downtown Angeles City. They are very distinct because they expose themselves, they behave artificially feminine, and it's obvious that the person is not real girl. I don't know, I don't want to intersect with them to discuss life or just try to lecture them or anything like that. It's not my goal here, and I don't want even to raise this topic because I know my auditorium will split by half. Some of them will share my concerns, while others says, well, it's none of your business, it's up to these people to decide whether or not. But my next question is, why, for example, it's only boys that are willing to convert themselves into girls, but not the way around? Why don't? The answer is because Asian boys are more easier to look like girls than European boys, right? Because of, physical features of Asian people as opposed to European. So it's easier for them to look like girls, right? But if girls wanted so much to become eventually boys, that transgender community would be split equally. But in reality, as everyone knows, it's here, especially in Asia, most boys, they convert themselves into girls, but not the way around. So I suspect some psychological and sociological impact of why it's happening, because for girls here it's easier to get some income from foreigners for the known reason, as opposed to boys. So again, I'm not questioning people's right to do that, but I am, my concern is economy, and I think as economy gets worse and worse, more boys would be willing to convert themselves into girls in their desperate hope that this will allow them to earn their living, to be wealthier than they are now. And obviously what is ahead of them is disenchantment, the big disappointments, because they know they compete with real girls and they lose them, although they may expose themselves and try to be more sex appealing and stuff, but in the end of the day, obviously they compete in the foreign territory. Again, I'm asking, what do you think, guys? Is it a legitimate topic for me to raise? Okay, bye.